This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Agatevach, Agatiyar. We just finished the Yom Tov of Sukkot, Shmini Atzeres, Simchas Torah. We were Zoicha to be Messiah, Sefer Devarim, and now we begin Sefer Bereishis. Let's begin by pointing out and contrasting the difference in the nusach between the Hakdama, between the way we call up the Chasan Torah and the way we call up Chasan Bereishis. The way we call up Chasan Torah, Amoid, 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 Rabbi, Pliny ben Pliny. And then, when it comes to Chasan Bereishis, we add a word. Maher, Amoid, 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 Rabbi. We add the word Maher. Why do we say the word Maher? Why, when it comes to Chasan Torah, we're not in such a great rush, and when it comes to Chasan Bereishis, all of a sudden, we're in a very big rush? Let's talk about that. It's interesting, we know that on Simchas Torah, we take out a minimum of 3 Sefer Torah. In the first Sefer Torah, we learn from V'zos HaBracha, we're Messiah the Torah. In the next Torah, we learn from Sefer Bereishis, and then finally, we learn the Maftir Bayoim Hashmini. Bayoim Hashmini. Okay, these are the 3 Sefer Torah. The Haftarah, though, is from Sefer Yehoshua, which is somewhat problematic, because we know the Haftarah is always Me'ein the Maftir, not Me'ein the Kriyas HaTorah. So why are we laning from the Navi Yehoshua? We should lane something in the Nevi'im about Simchas Torah or Shmini Atzeres. Why do we lane about the ascendancy of Yehoshua and the beginning of the career of Yehoshua? This is the question of the Levush. In other words, let's say Parsha is a Zachar. So the Maftir is Parsha Zachar, and the Haftarah is about Amalek, and about Shmuel commanding Shaul to destroy Amalek. So we see that the Haftarah is Me'ein the Maftir. So too on Shmini Atzeret, on Simchas Torah, the Haftarah, instead of leaning Yeshua, should be Me'ein the Maftir. So the Levush says, well, the day is called Simchas Torah, and therefore the main laning is the Kriyas HaTorah of V'zos HaBracha, the death of Moshe, and therefore we lane the Haftarah connected to the death of Moshe. That's what the Levush says. However, there's still a very big problem here, and this is the question of the Radvaz in Shalos Tshuvas Radvaz, Chelek Daled, Siman Tzadichas. And the Radvaz asks 2 very important questions. Let's talk about the order of the Kriya. Sefer Torah number 1, we learn V'zos HaBracha, then followed by Bereishis, then followed by the Maftir. Well, think about it. V'zos HaBracha is a Chiyuv, that's the Chiyuv of the day to finish V'zos HaBracha. After all, it's the only Parsha that we learn not on a Shabbos. All the other 53 Parshas of the year we learn on Shabbos. This is the one Parsha we don't learn on Shabbos. In fact, we have a tradition from the Zohar. Gan Parshas yesh, there are 53 Parshas, and all the Mekubalim ask that really there are 54 Parshas. One of the famous answers, the Ramaz of Moshe Zakuto, quoted by the Chidah, is that no, there are 53 Parshas we learn on Shabbos. V'zos HaBracha we don't learn on Shabbos. Then we learn Bereishis. Bereishis is just a minhag. It's not Michiyuv Shal Yom. And then we learn the Maftir, which is also a Chiyuv. Well, ask Radvaz 2 very important questions. Number 1, Bereishis is just a minhag. The Maftir is Michiyuv Shal Yom. So what should come first, the minhag or the Chiyuv of laning Shmini Atzeres? Why would we lane the Bereishis first? And number 2, what about the rule of Tadar V'Sheino Tadar Koidem? We lane every week a Maftir, so the Maftir should come first. And the Radvaz says a very important answer, and that is, it is critical that we juxtapose the reading of Sefer Bereishis to the conclusion of Devarim, because as soon as we finish Sefer Devarim, we are in grave danger. Because now, who's aroused? You know who's going to rise his ugly head? You know who's going to raise himself up and say, well, those Jews, they just finished the Torah. Maybe they're just going to stop there. They're going to plateau. They're not going to continue. They're going to rest on their laurels. Of course, we're giving a pischain peh to the Satan, to Mekatreg, and say, the Jews don't want to learn more. Maybe we could add that, we've bottled the Satan up for quite some time now. Erev Rosh Hashanah, we confounded him. Rosh Hashanah, we blew twice and we had his head spinning. Yom Kippur, the Gemara says in Yuma, is Ha-Satan is Gematria 364. He has no Kayach on Yom Kippur. Then we have a tradition that the 4 days in between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, the Satan also is not active. In fact, some even say he's really called Satan, not Ha-Satan, because there are really 5 days a year that he's not active. So now the Satan's been bottled up. He's just rearing for action. He's just looming, waiting for something. So if we would just finish Devarim without starting Bereishis, it would give the Satan fuel. It would really fire him up. Hey, those Jews there, they just finished the book and they're going to close it and they're not going to come back to learn for another year. So therefore we immediately, quickly start Bereishis to silence the mouth of the Satan, says the Radvaz, Chelak Dalet, Siman Tzadi Ches. Comes the Chidah, and the Chidah, and the Radvaz and the Chidah, Novosh, are all brought in the Sefer Hagiyonei Halacha, in page 191, 192, and the Chidah adds in the Berkei Yosef that that's the reason why the Haftarah on Simchas Torah is from Sefer Yehoshua. And that is just like we're afraid of the Kitrug of the Satan, that we have to start Bereishis. Well, there's another thing the Satan might be Mekatreg. He'll say, the Jews, they just learned the Chumash, they finished the Chumash, but they're not going to go further. They're not ambitious to try to learn the Nevi'im. No! Quiet, Satan! We immediately lay in Sefer Yeshua to start the Navi, so that we show the Satan, we silence the Satan, that we're continuing not just in Chumash, but in the words of the Nevi'im as well. Okay, be it as it may, there's another important idea here, and that is, it's brought in the Sefer Menorahs Hamar, Rabbi Yisrael Alan Kava. He brings that in Kehilos Sfarad, the custom was that upon the conclusion of the Haftarah, they would continue on in Torah Sheba'al Peh. Namely, they would begin Masechta Chagiga to be Mechaber, Torah Sheba'al Peh, to Torah Shebachsav. Again, we want to silence the Satan. Satan, we're not resting on our laurels. We're going to continue to persevere, to push ahead. Just because we finished, we're going to have more Sidarim, not only in the Chumash. When we finish the Chumash, we're going to start again. We finish the Chumash, we're going to start the Navi. We finish the Chumash, we're going to learn Torah Sheba'al Peh. And therefore I saw in the Sefer of Aleinu Shabeach, Rabbi Yitzchak Zilberstein, in the name of the Stipler, that when we finish, when we're about to finish the Torah, we're not in such a rush to finish the Torah. But the moment we finish the Torah and we have an opportunity to call up Chassan Bereishis, we say, Maher Amoid, 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 quickly! We can't rest on our laurels even for a moment, even for a second. We have to start Bereishis immediately. As soon as Yom Tov is over, we plan for the upcoming Zman, Be'ezus Hashem, more Shiurim, more Sidarim, more dedication to Limud HaTorah. May everyone be blessed with a Zman and a year of tremendous Limud HaTorah. The Chidah writes that one of the kavanas during Hakafos is that as we encircle the Bima, we're Mispalel, Ribbon Shalom, we should always be Nikaf, we should always be encircled with Torah and mitzvahs. May the Ribbon Shalom surround us the whole year. Limud HaTorah, Asiyas HaMitzvahs, Ula Avdai, B'Levav Shalem, Be'emes U'V'Tamim, Agatiyar.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.